but there are several key principles that need to be taught, several skills that people need to learn in order to be an effective supervisor. So the participants will receive a solid theory as well as practical application that's going to reinforce the essentials of supervisory management, working with people and being able to work through people.
What I found out about the supervisory management courses that people who are somewhat promoted don't even understand leadership, and that is very
But that's the
important.
fact.
Oh, well, yes.
That is the fact. That is why you have a lot of things in organizations you that should not be happening. That's happening, and leadership is critical in organizations. Without good leadership, an organization you believe that's supposed to be thriving is falling apart. How do you manage change? We see how the organizations are changing rapidly right now. Good leadership you must be able to basically manage those sorts of changes. How do you deal with diverse people working in your organizations? That is essential, and that is.
But what I'm asking the question there because sometimes management don't even understand that they have to train people to get their organization moving because it's somewhat want to stifle the people, I say young people, to prevent them from moving forward because they say, well, if I train you, you'll go somewhere else. And that is a mentality that we have to get over.
But I short-sighted.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, no, but it is short-sighted, like Dr. Kazimi is saying, because if the aim of the business is to be successful, if the aim of the business is to be a going concern, then training people and helping them to be able to get others to work even more efficiently and work better is going to only be a plus. Because the opposite is also true. If you have somebody in a management position, a supervisory position that cannot lead, then that is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, you will have a situation where people will be coming to work not wanting to come to work, and therefore they cannot give you 110% when they do not want to come to work. You have situations too, Matt, where some people have been sitting there for 10, 12 years waiting for their turn to be a supervisor so they can do other people the wickedness that the previous supervisor did to them.
She's making
I am serious. You have those kinds of situations there. And they say to you, you must retire one day and then I will be the supervisor and then the rest of them will see what will happen, right? And that is very punitive, and that is not what a supervisor is supposed to be doing, because you cannot get the best out of people if you don't treat them well.
But some of them to come in that argument. Oh, I just come out of university, so they made me a supervisor. And the person that he or she doesn't understand the dynamics of leadership.
Yeah, right. And then there's a culture there too that you have to learn. So it's a variety of things that this course in Introduction to Supervisory Management really gets you started in terms of thinking. And there's a lot of reflection there too. That particular tutor who does that course, Miss Sarah Abraham, does a lot of reflection with the students as they go along, and then they move to the advanced supervisory management later on.
All right, let's take a break and we'll come back. Of course, we're here with UE Global, and we'll continue right after this. Just give us 1 second there. We'll be back, and we'll be talking about your favorite program. I suspect public speaking. We'll be back.
Discover high-quality online and blended higher education programs at the UE Global Campus. Access our in-demand and quality-assured graduate and undergraduate degrees, associate degrees, diplomas, and continuing and professional educational programs and courses anywhere, anytime. Join our global community of learners and achieve your academic dreams. Apply today. Visit our website at www.global.ue.edu/apply. Your future awaits. Connect, learn, succeed.
I want to go back there quickly, to the subject we just, was done with, and speak to. Do you think if you are, say, university trained, you'll make a better supervisor than somebody who's been there for a while?
No, I don't.
Because some
think
people
so.
have an impression. I have a master's degree, so I can supervise better than this person because I'm educated that way.
Well, the thing about education, it's supposed to give you the flexibility to change with these circumstances. In other words, if I've been doing accounting for, say, 20 years, accounting would have changed. The way the world is pivoting would have changed. And this is where higher education comes. It gives you the better position you to basically move the change. And also, if you have a degree, these chances are you'll be a better leader because you'll be...
Chances are.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Because we have people with degrees, they have been overmanaged. They have been trained more management
than leadership. Yeah.
So when you get into the organization, you're a good manager. You can plan, budget, get the right employees, but to motivate and galvanize people, that is, you're weak at that.
Right. And then there are people on the other end too who have not gone to university as yet, who's not taken a course in UWI as yet, but they so they may not be as a fantastic manager as the person coming in with the 2026 knowledge of everything that the university says, but they know how to motivate people. I've said that on your show before, Matt, that some of the leaders in the organizations do not even have positions at all. Sometimes it's the cleaner that's leading the place.
That is a fact.
Because leadership is having people follow you, and management is something different. So it's very possible to be the manager there, but nobody's following you at all. That's frustrating, but it's possible.
Thank you. Public speaking and professional presentation, another one.
Public speaking and professional presentation skills is one that I teach, and there people will be equipped with the fundamental skills of public speaking. So it is important that we know what types of speeches are essential for what occasion, and to be able to use formula to be able to plug in the details where we need them. So there are certain things that you should say when you're giving a welcome address, a vote of thanks, when you're introducing a speaker, and those kind of things. So we build on those skills. We also look at combating nervousness, how to effectively use a podium or a stage, how to manage your tone when you are speaking, how to use cue cards if you have them, or to use other speaking notes when you have that. Are you allowed to use your phone or your other devices, and how do you use that? All these things come into play in this particular course, and really helps people to build confidence, because as Dr. Kazimi will tell you, it really makes a difference whether somebody can speak in public or not, or whether somebody is falling all over themselves, mamoteing or not, when they're given the opportunity to speak.
And you, of course, instill that kind of confidence with that course.
Well, I hope so. I hope that, most of my students who have already taken that course and listening can testify that it has worked. I think so. I really think so. Right? What do you think, Dr. Kazimi?
I think just last week I was speaking to a gentleman, and I tell him, I still can't believe that you said that you're afraid to speak. He said that after doing that course, he's actually reading in church. I actually wanted to have him with us this morning. But quite often, public speaking is not just your ability to basically be the talk.
Yeah.
But there are key things in welcome address, very structured. Vote of thanks, very structured. And there are some people who they're extremely nervous to actually face people.
It sweats a lot.
Yeah. And that is that's quite common. We did research, and see, most people would prefer
to die
than to.
Yes, most people prefer to die than to have to give a public presentation. So it is essential. It's an essential skill. And so I encourage people who've been thinking about it. I like to do this course particularly at the start of the year. And that's for people who've been thinking about it and so on. Make that a New Year's resolution goal that you're going to really work on your public speaking this year.
Right. Now, let's turn to the course, because time is of the essence. And we have a few more to cover, but time is of the essence. You see the clock?
Yeah.
We're moving so quickly.
Yeah.
But we're having fun. Let's before we get there, let's talk about events management. It's a very fundamental one too.
Events management is very important, particularly for the amount of events we're having.
Yes.
Of course, we'll teach you different types of events, because each event is different. How do you budget? How do you monitor evaluate whether the event made sense? And how do you pivot in the future for next event?
All right. So fundamentals of practical surveying, I think.
Yes,
another
that
one
course will actually help you in terms of looking at fundamental principles in terms of surveying,
land surveying.
How do you survey key proper areas? That one is face to face. So we'll be using the different tools to actually help the participants teach them how to survey. How do you look for different errors when you survey, and what are the key areas as relates to gradients, all these different things in surveying.
Grant proposal writing.
That too is very essential. It's going to teach you how to write grants. How do you budget for your grants? What are the key elements you want to look for in a particular grant? What do you look for? Because each person each granting funding agency It's very specific as to what they're looking for. How do you do the research after you have done the grant and the proposal? How do you do how do you ask the people different questions as to whether the grant makes sense? What's the methodology you're using? We're going to look at what vision the grant that particular proposal is for. So you're going to look at all the key elements in terms of writing a grant, and that you can actually write a grant so you could get funding for whatever project you're looking at.
And a lot of granting out there, but you need to know how to do it.
That's the thing. There are a lot of grants out there, because a lot of grants out there, one, also when you get the funding, you have to use it by a particular time.
Yeah.
And you also have to show your the receipts, how do you
use the money, yeah.
And all of these things. So that's very important. So getting the grant is one thing, what you do with the funds is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the course actually teach you how to.
So there must be accountability and transparency.
No doubt.
Right.
And in the proposal, you have to see how you're going to account for it.
Occupational health and safety tools and techniques.
That course too is very essential. We see many organizations actually there's an occupational health and safety component in organizations. So that course is going to teach you actually how do you cater for your employees, the organization, as it relates to health and safety, the different key areas as to what the health and safety is about, and how do you mitigate against any health and safety issues in your organization.
Principles of Teaching Young Children.
Principles of Teaching Young Children is one of the courses in our early childhood education program. That is a 2-year program. And so people can join twice for the year. They can either join in the Introduction to Early Childhood Education, which is offered in semester 1, or they can join now in Principles of Teaching Young Children. After that, the courses are closed and only those who are already in the program can do it. So this one particularly teaches lesson planning for young children and how to actually plan and structure your lessons in a way that make them effective for the children between 0 and 7 years old.
All right, so our final one this morning, I think, intermediate conversational Creole. Okapale Creole.
When I was younger, I spoke a lot of Creole.
Are you so you can't speak Creole anymore?
I understand it, but I'm not fluent at it.
You should get with Miss Joseph. Miss
No.
Joseph, have you encouraged
I can speak. I'm not fluent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not fluent.
When there's a BEF that he wants to tell me, and he doesn't want other people at UWI to hear, he automatically knows how to speak in Creole. Or when it's vice versa, when I have something to say,
say aloud, boy.
And I don't want other people to know he understands every word. So I'm confused by this Collywood person. Anyway, intermediate conversational Creole stems from the fundamentals one, but people don't have to start with the fundamentals. They can start with this one.
Okay.
And Mrs. Weeks builds the students up in terms of vocabulary, providing situations. She uses music and folklore and all the other wonderful elements of our culture to really bring the language to life and to help students actually start speaking within 6 weeks.
All right, so let's take a few more minutes to talk about the course. That's very, very essential.
Right. So we have 13-week courses, and this semester, our 13-week course is our advanced counseling course. And I think also Introduction to Supervisory Management. And those are $650. We have 10-week courses. The 10-week courses on schedule are Building and Construction Management, Credit Union Essentials, Entrepreneurship and New Venture Creation, Financial Accounting, Financial Risk Management, as well as Fundamentals of Practical Surveying, Grant Proposal Writing, and Principles of Teaching Young Children. These 10-week courses are $500. And then we have 6-week courses. Our 6-week courses on offer for this current semester are Public Speaking and Professional Presentation Skills, Events Management, Intermediate, and Conversational Creole. And our 6-week courses are $300. Payment plans are available. People can put their first payment before we start, and then they have the opportunity to pay 2 more installments, one at the end of February and one at the end of March.
All right, somebody's saying that one of your former lecturers, and we spoke to that earlier, says not too many people get degrees for a badge of honor, and sometimes can be very arrogant because they have a degree. You understand? You agree?
I do agree. Education is expensive, yes. And so I suppose there's a certain style that sometimes maybe comes with that. But I do agree with that person. I think that it is too expensive, though, to continue to let things go on the same way. So when you are educated, you have the responsibility to use what you know effectively to help others. But when we use it to stamp over others, that is where the issue lies. But I think it's an equal sin to have it and then pretend as if we don't know better.
What a way to end. So we'll be back next week. Sometime soon. So because I'm sure there are people who want to call, but we don't have time this morning.
So people can call our staff at 448-3182 or 295-3132.
When we come back, we'll talk about other conversations as well. But very interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a great one. Thank you.
Discover high-quality online and blended higher education programs at the UWI Global Campus. Access our in-demand and quality-assured graduate and undergraduate degrees, associate degrees, diplomas, and continuing and professional educational programs and courses anywhere, anytime. Join our global community of learners and achieve your academic dreams. Apply today. Visit our website at www.global.uwe.edu/apply. Your future awaits. Connect, learn, succeed.
Your future awaits. Connect, learn, and succeed. Your future awaits. Connect, learn, and succeed. Come put your shoulders to the wheel. Continuing and professional education. A chance to build a solid foundation. So Road UWI Global, come give us the call. 448-3182.
Get more from Digicel with our new Prime Ultra bundles on the fastest mobile network in Dominica. More local minutes, free data to chat with your friends and family. More data for messaging. More data on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. More data for TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and now Netflix. Get more and more. Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Netflix, Snapchat. To party online. Digicel, free data. More data. What is even more amazing is a new to renew feature. When you buy and stay on a Prime Ultra bundle, you get amazing discounts. Experience your new Prime Ultra bundle and save more for you. Only with the best mobile network on island. Digicel, better connected.
The HPV vaccine is a safe and reliable way to protect against cervical, penile, oropharynx, vulval, and anal cancer. HPV vaccines work best if administered prior to exposure to the human papillomavirus. HPV is mainly spread through sexual contact. HPV vaccines are available to our prepubertal boys and girls at the grade 6 level. Vaccinating not only protects yourself, but also protects those in the community who are unable to be vaccinated. Your decision makes a difference. Vaccines are given at all public health clinics in Dominica, and they are completely free of charge. Contact your healthcare provider for more information.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Social Services in collaboration with UNICEF, PAHO, and Gavi.
Time to the orange and lemon line. Yeah, we love the vibe. Refreshing every day, all night. Forget your worries, no, chill. Chill with flavor.
Distributed by Fine Foods Inc., the biggest distributor for the biggest brands.
Time to chill.
Share a crunch this Christmas with KFC's festive feast. Only $55 gets you 5 pieces of chicken, 4 hot barbecue wings, 2 regular fries, 2 biscuits, 2 16-ounce drinks. Win big with KFC's buckets of giving. A laptop, a smartphone, $1,000 cash prize, $200 US Amazon gift card, and so much more. Purchase a festive feast bucket in the store, at the drive-thru, or on delivery, and write your name and number on the back of your receipt. Terms and conditions apply. KFC, it's finger licking good.
There's Smooth.
And then there's Guinness Smooth.
It's a brand new cool.
Incredibly smooth.
Perfectly balanced.
For a smooth and refreshing taste.
So how smooth? Well smooth. Guinness Smooth.
For a smooth and refreshing taste. New Guinness Smooth. Must be 18 years or older. Drink responsibly. Socialize responsibly.
Locally distributed by Belfast Estate Limited.
Of course, we will be monitoring this protest action ongoing there. The Wash, I'm being told from sources that the government will be on their way, maybe meeting with Nasser himself as they continue to protest against the environmental degradation taking place in that area. So there's a government team heading to that area about 10 o'clock this morning. We'll try to bring some of that live to you, okay? Deboche. What will be the end result? Nasir Fontaine, a reggae sensation, is going to keep standing until we get some resolution to this. And as I said to you, government officials are on their way this morning from 10 o'clock. At this time, I'm going to, of course, present Pastor Randy Rodney as he spoke last evening on Kingdom Connection.
All kinds of conversations happening everywhere. And from the day that happened, I have already said, and I will maintain, that the arrest of Maduro will likely cause either the looking at very closely of some leaders in the region, or quite possibly maybe the arrest of some leaders in the region. And here's why I say that. Now, that's my opinion. Some of you can jump in and get mad about it. That's okay. You see, anytime people are looking at you, they look at how you frequent, who you frequent. My mother used to say in Creole, now, we all know very well that quite a number of our leaders were liming with Maduro or liming on Maduro's jet. Just like some of our leaders were liming on Leroy Paris's jet for Clico. And some of them were in cahoots with him. And some of you went soft when you found out that some of our leaders were in cahoots with Leroy Paris and Clico. Well, the same thing with Maduro, right? Once you begin to lime with people, their smell and their perfume staying on you at the minimum. And once that happens, then you become a suspect for the crime that the individual committed. So that's not surprising. It's not surprising in particular because our Prime Minister was very forceful in 2021, I believe, in one of the meetings of Petro, whatever you call them, the Union of Latin American and so many Caribbean countries, of his love for and the allegiance of Dominica to Venezuela. Even at a time when everybody knew that, at least people knew that there were people looking at the administration in Venezuela for its non-democratic principles. Having said this, you will understand that the other people who are close to that setup, the Petro-Carib setup, the varied companies that were set up between Venezuela and Dominica for what we were told was the transfer of diesel at reduced prices or credit prices, and money would be paid and all this crap. One of the things that most of us forget is that Venezuela and Cuba, for example, really cannot trade in US dollars. And as a consequence, there are arrangements with these countries where US dollars are repatriated to these various countries from us. Now, think about it. Think about that these countries, because of the pressure put on them by the American government, they can't trade in US dollars, but they have US dollars nonetheless. Whether you like or you don't like the President of the United States, you'll understand that if they have a particular slant, and whether it's Republican or Democrat, nothing changes as far as that's concerned. Don't let nobody fool you. One is more brazen than the other, and that's about it. Okay? One is just more bold than the other. But they operate from the same perspective, whether Republican or Democrat in the US. Check it out. Check it out over the years. So if the Republican did something, the Democrat never reverse it. Okay? Because they operate from the same place, America first. Trump just louder in his megaphone to say it. So once we saw those things, I understand that there are some dominoes that will fall. And we have seen the dominoes falling and falling hard. So you have first the visa ban started on January 1st. Then now you have the bond for those who are now going for visas. Now think about it, Dominicans. The bond is from 5,000 US to 15,000 US. Okay? Which one of you would want to go to America and pay 15,000 US just to get your visitor's visa? Which one of you? Only the passport sellers that can do that, you know. Nobody else. The people that are selling passports that can do that. Nobody else. So what is happening now? And somebody asked me that question, I'm going to say it in public. What is happening now is that Donald Trump and the American government is putting pressure on the Dominican people so the Dominican people could adequately respond to the Dominican leader. And I want you all to hear me. It's not nation state, not wicked, they wicked. They know what's happening, but they need to get the Dominican people to respond to the Dominican leader. Why am I saying that, Pastor Randy? Well, let me tell you why. They know all the people have CBI passports. It's easy to know. Country of birth will tell you. Once your country of birth is not Dominica, you're not Dominican. So you should be the person put into a screening place to be screened. The US knows that. They don't have to go and ask about that. But you see, that doesn't put pressure on the leader. So all of you who are gigging and laughing and doing nothing, including some of you politicians who are not sure what you want to say. That's what the American government, the United Kingdom government, the governments of Canada are expecting from the citizens of Dominica. Now, you all know me, I say it as it is. That's what they expect. So when they put the visa restrictions and the visa ban and the bond on Dominicans, it is for Dominicans to say enough is enough. You all sit down there blaming everybody and laughing and making a joke out of what is a serious matter. Okay? Without understanding that that's where we are. And some of the people who are supposed to be providing us with the information, they are very miser on it. So that's what that is. So, ladies and gentlemen, the long and short of it is, it doesn't matter what our Prime Minister says to us. It is quite apparent that the US government is not satisfied with our governance. But as far as the US government is concerned, it's the Dominican people who must say, Nupale, Tiwe. You heard the excuse that was used to arrest Maduro? And note the pictures, and some of you Americans might get upset with me saying that, but that was deliberate. The fact that is DEA, everybody who was holding Maduro is from the Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency. So it wasn't the snipers and whatever else, it was people from the Drug Enforcement Agency. And when America do these things, when nations do those things, they do it deliberately because there is a message to carry, and sometimes there's a propaganda as well to spread. And if you ask me, they have done this one very, very well. Okay? So DEA went to Venezuela, DEA arrested Maduro, DEA landed him in New York and took him to court. So the Republican Party's position and Trump's position is that the man was arrested for drug-related offenses, narco trafficking. Now, with narco trafficking comes money laundering. Money laundering is when you make money, you have money, you receive money, you pass on money that you cannot legally account for. For those of you wondering what it is when you take old money and wash it with Clorox and make it good money. Okay? Money laundering. That's why they have the word laundering. Launder is to wash. So they wash the money. Now, we have a problem in the Commonwealth of Dominica because the people who are money laundering, they are being winked at. And those people who are hardworking that go for their $3,000 under the pillow where they had it and bring to the bank, the cashier asking them all kind of question, whereas somebody else depositing $500,000. You all heard what I said? You all heard what I just said, right? So understand that when you get into narco trafficking and money laundering, you get into gang warfare because likes will stand with likes. And that is why we have that kind of thing in the higher echelons of society, because people who are getting or having or utilizing or passing money that has to be washed are partners with everybody that washing money. And once you get there, people don't want you to know they're washing money. They also carry illegal weapons. Mr. Cobbett, do you see the nexus? They also carry illegal weapons. Every drug trafficker will have a stash of illegal weapons. Every one of them, because they have to protect their turf. So those people who talking loud, but you know they're not working anywhere, it is not rocket science for you to know where the drugs are. Because follow the money and you'll get it. Okay? Now, why isn't Dominica more aggressive on that? Well, in all these matters, our Prime Minister has not been transparent. I mentioned last month that for the first time in history, Mr. Skerrit had a press conference where his ministers were answering questions. Other times, the questions were above their pay grade. They could not answer. They were shoved in a corner like Eugenia had shoved Reagan. But this time, he called on them to answer questions. Let me tell you something. That's political strategy. And the political strategy is to let you know that, to make you think that something different is happening. You want to know what else is political strategy? And I'll make a statement tonight that will get all you angry, but that's fine. You know what next is political strategy? The gospel festival that's happening in February. That's political strategy. That is to see how they can ameliorate and soft people's hearts. So now they're using the church. This gospel festival is political strategy. Pastor Randy, why are you saying that? Well, here's the reason. If the government can snub the Dominican Association of Evangelical Churches, snub pastors who they feel do not support them, right? And then have a gospel festival and ask them to come to join. What do you call that? I'm going to pass stage one, for you to know that's political strategy. And some of you fall for it. And you fall for it because the artists are great artists, great names. I want to go and see that. I want to see that. Tell me something. Do you really think, let me tell you something, to bring down any one of these artists to Dominica, Travis Green, Sinach, Colin Davis. The last time we brought Colin Davis to Dominica was in 1998 for Gospel Fest. And that was costing, I think, if my memory serves me right, pretty close to $50,000 US. Colin Davis and his band and her band. Today, I'm sure that's more, right? I'm in contact with one Jamaican artist, and to take them down, to bring them down to Dominica for one night would cost somewhere in the region of $60,000 US. Okay? So think about it. Sinach, Travis, Colin, and all the rest. You think Labour Party is going to spend all that money under the aegis of government, spend that for nothing? I tell you, bring an offering to give to people who need it. Political strategy. And we always fall for it. We Dominicans, we cannot stand for anything. We fall for everything. And some of you Christians will fall for that again because you're more red than you're godly. You're more partisan than you're Christian. Some of you who are great in church will fall for that again because you get blinded by every crap somebody does. And you forget your Bible that says even the devil dresses himself as an angel of light. You forget that. So this time they use a different strategy to do it. It's not now a political party because we raised arms some time ago that Donnie McClurkin, when he was given a red shirt, who said they wouldn't have a red shirt again? This is political strategy. And you all need to be careful that the devil don't lay all you. Devil can't lay. You can't snub me and then come and give me your juice, Macaboy. In fact, I'm throwing in front of you in the drain. You understand? That's never going to happen. So I want you to know that this, and I address all of them together. Why? Because they're essentially together. They are centered around the same thing. The leadership of the country is fooling us, taking us for a ride. Now realize that things are not as bright as it used to be in terms of the people coming from, especially the U.S. territories, to vote because I pose you pay. They're now looking to kill you on the ground. Okay? Watch that. Now, here is something else that you all need to pay attention to. I've been talking about electoral reform for some time, and I'm going to go back on it. I'm never going to stop talking about it because it's wrong. And if it's wrong, you'll always hear from me that it's wrong. So the laws were amended to suit the Labour Party. But as I've said to you, over and over again, when you intend to deceive, you create a web that will choke you. So the electoral reform laws is now choking the Labour Party in many ways. Are you aware, for example, that there has been no list published, right, of people who have been confirmed? Confirmation started on the 15th of October. There was supposed to be a list on the 15th of November. It wasn't there. There was supposed to be one on the 15th of December. It wasn't there. If you check the online and check it out, it's still Pala. But you know what I understand happened last week? All of you political leaders, check it out, because it's second-hand information all those get and they're only going for it. I understand that the registering officers that were registering officers were asked to return all the property of the Electoral Commission to the Electoral Commission, which means they decommissioned the existing registering and assistant registering officers. And you need to ask why. I'm going to ask Miss Anthea Joseph, Christian lady, why would that happen? Do you have intentions of creating a Labour Party cadre of elections of electoral officers? Is that the intention? Like you said, you put an advertisement out and people came for the confirmation, and then we find out that so many people who you engage for the confirmation were Labour Party operatives in their villages. Is that the same thing you want to do with the registering and assistant registering officers? Is it? Now, when we finish do all that cocoa macaque, all you do want us to cry about it, talk about it, so Trump can hear about it and come and save us, like they saved the Venezuelans? Listen, one of the things that you have heard from Kingdom Connection for a long time is that once you continue to do that evil, Jack says it very well, God does not judge organizations. Okay? He will come at you, and he's coming at some of you with a vengeance. And you need to know that. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom of this is that this Labour Party administration is now looking for ways and means to stay where it is. With all the blunders, and we have not been rising up. We have not found somebody or some people who can galvanize us into saying enough is enough. Finally, I have said before time and time again that nobody, the only people who said so was Labour Party, and it's a lie. Dominicans, by and large, have always wanted an international airport. There's nobody who will tell you they don't want an international airport. Nobody. Every time you raise something that's happening that shouldn't happen, then the response is, oh, they don't want the international airport. We're fed up with this stupid excuse. Stop using it, because it's not sticking anymore. Okay? Here are the questions that needs to be answered. Do we have an EIA? Have we seen an EIA? Or is the young man, the young engineer that was trained in China, right, that all you will decimate the mountain when all you want, because it's all you own? How much money is the international airport will cost? And where is the money? Where the money staying? In which bank the money is? And how much money have already been raised by the exchange of passports? The passports that they have to receive consideration for. I'm using an insurance term here. How much money have we received? How many passports were traded or gifted or whatever you want to call it for that money? We need to know that. Just like we need to know how much money was traded for the housing project and the other projects. This government has not been transparent. And we have to begin to ask the necessary questions, which we must get answers. And that's where we are. Dominicans, it is time to stand up for something. and stop falling for anything. Right now, you are like a whatever I don't want to say on radio. Any little money they give you, you're falling for it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. They have a concert, you for I want it, I want it, I want it. You have that, I want it. I begin to have a principle. I'm hoping that you're still teaching your children principle, because I taught mine. I taught my girls that you don't take money from any man, because every man that gives you some money have an intention, except is your father, and sometimes your uncle have a bad intention. So when your uncle give you money, I wanted to know when my children were children. Well, now they're adults. If you don't teach that to your people, then you're falling short of what you should be doing. And for the same reason, if we don't ask questions of this government, we will fall short. So all the things you see that the Prime Minister is accepting refugees and all that gas on is people who don't know what they're about, who falling for some, they dangle some carrot and they fall for it. And Dominica, the carrot we got, it was looking like a carrot, but it's a hard wash kai. We can't even bite it. Okay? Because after they put a bond on us for visas, that we now went to decide that we will take refugees. Ladies and gentlemen, do not let 2026 start with you bowing your eyes and closing your head.
All right, Dominica, now that we've heard Pastor Randy Rodney talking points. I'm sure you have a thing or two to say. I will keep monitoring these events there in Dewash. I told you earlier that the Prime Minister and his team is heading up there at about 10 o'clock this morning. Will there be an answer? Guess we'll have to wait and see, huh? Hello, good morning. Good morning. It's 10:36. Are you there? Yes?
Matt, good morning.
Morning to you. Morning.
Matt, I told Pastor Randy Rodney last night, he's my Medway.
Your Medway?
Yes, Medway. You know where he does do the Medway.
Okay.
And anytime he come and give us report, I agree with him.
Okay.
Everything he say, Matt, I agree with him. Medway, what this man is doing with Dominica. And Pastor Randy Rodney is a wise man with a head on his neck. And he's not bowing his eyes and closing his head. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On the telephone, are you there, caller? Yes?
I say praises, thanks, blessings, and glory to all those who have sacrificed their personal safety and security, trying to elevate mankind to humanity. Mr. Pelter, blessings in your family, sir.
Blessings to you, blessings to you, yes.
Receive, accept, and boomerang to you and your family. That's why I say Pastor Rodney would be a good politician. But there are people that are avoiding being perfect archers. They are deliberately missing the target, Matt. And it is not taking the edges of the target. The arrows are flying past by the target, much less for them to hit the bullseye. and Pastor Jack and them and Pastor Rodney and them man always hitting the target. The thing is, Matt, when you become a perfect archer, you becomes a target. They say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. The one-eyed man is also a target. But fear would have you paralyzed or frozen or inactive if that physical piece of thing we're walking around with is our preoccupation, Matt. Matt, I'm talking so deliberately. I'm coming to you. There with me, sir?
Yep.
Matt, Maduro is vomiting and steroid DNA can be traced, Matt, in vomit when they use forensics. They will find traces of steroid DNA in Maduro vomit. And that's what Pastor Rodney is concluding, you know. Not a lot of dominoes will fall. So Hector Stark John said something. I think I sent it to you. What you're following my argument?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I heard Hector. Hector.
Yeah, man. Matt, an ultimatum, Matt, is a final demand or a set of conditions, Matt. Hector Stark John concluded there were 3 ultimatums given to the government of Dominica. Matt, where you have the moving the Cuban doctors and nurses from Dominica, that's one, and the bond placed on people that are receiving visitors visa to America over $15,000, not US dollars.
Mm-hmm. 5 to 50.
Can you imagine?
5 to 50.
How many people have 5,000 US dollars? So, Matt, so what is the final ultimatum, Matt? What is the third ultimatum? What is the third ultimatum? Maybe when you meet Skerrit in his next press briefing or conference, some people say the press garbage conference, I don't know. Matt asked Skerrit, there are 2 of the ultimatums made public. What is the third one? Matt, we're in a lot of trouble in Dominica. Let me congratulate Nazio and IP and everybody that is standing up. I hope something more structured. Let me call on Claudius to try to mobilize the people, and his wife is the chief from the Kalinago territory, to come and stand up. Matt, a lot of so-called leaders are deliberately missing the target because they're afraid of Navy SEALs and snipers. But you know what I like, Matt? You can say in your video, somebody said, me, I don't go in Portsmouth for a bullet to take me while I'm standing by somebody. Matt, Dominica has become a ghetto. The whole country now is a ghetto, and it's only one person that can be guaranteed the security is Commissioner Lisa and Chichi. These are the only people that are secured in the country, Matt. Everybody else, nobody knows when a bullet is going to strike them, or they're going to be struck by a bullet, Matt. So now everybody's afraid, even to go to the Portsmouth Carnival opening, or the opening of the Carnival in Portsmouth. Everybody's afraid. Matt, you see the opening in Rosanna, Matt?
No, I didn't. I observed.
Matt, I was there for a little while, but I left on late. But dear Matt, that is regression. Matt, we're going back in reverse. Matt, can you drive in reverse faster than we're moving forward, Matt?
No.
Matt, in Dominica, that's what the government doing. They're driving in reverse faster than they can drive and moving forward. So all of you, sit down there and think of your fear will serve as a repellent. You know, mosquito repellent, when you spray it, it's repelling, it's driving the mosquitoes away. Your fears will not drive what you're afraid of away from you. If anything, it's like magnet to steel. The more you're careful of anything, is the closer it is being drawn to you. Stand up and fight for Dominicans. Not a radio. Blessings.
Blessings. Of course, We continue here. It's 9:43 in the morning. 9:43. A new candidate for the UPP will meet with me, if God is willing, tomorrow on the Talk on the Block. Join Q95 this Wednesday from 1 for the Talk on the Block, the United Progressive Party new candidate for the Pilat-Savannah constituency.
The majority will complain about things, not going right, but I think the fingers are being pointed in the wrong direction.
A man of the soil, a Cuban graduate, come find out.
A lot of people prefer to just stay in their lane.
Find out this Wednesday, 1 o'clock, right here on the Talk on the Block, an exclusive with the new candidate for the UPP in Pilat-Savannah. The new candidates emerging. Just find out who tomorrow, right? Let's listen again to Pastor Randy Rodney for a few minutes. Pastor Randy.
Said before time and time again that nobody, the only people who said so was Labour Party, and it's a lie. Dominicans, by and large, have always wanted an international airport. There's nobody who will tell you they don't want an international airport. Nobody. Every time you raise something that's happening that shouldn't happen, then the response is, oh, they don't want the international airport. We're fed up with this stupid excuse. Stop using it because it's not sticking anymore. Okay? Here are the questions that needs to be answered. Do we have an EIA? Have we seen an EIA? Or is the young man, the young engineer that was trained in China right that all you will decimate the mountain when all you want? Because it's all you own. How much money is the international airport going to cost? And where is the money? Where the money staying? In which bank the money is? And how much money have already been raised by the exchange of passports? The passports that they have to receive consideration for. I'm using an insurance term here. How much money have we received? How many passports were traded or gifted or whatever you want to call it for that money? We need to know that. Just like we need to know how much money was traded for the housing project and the other projects. This government has not been transparent. And we have to begin to ask the necessary questions for which we must get answers. And that's where we are. Dominicans, it is time to stand up for something and stop falling for anything. Right now, you are like a whatever I don't want to say on radio. Any little money they give you, falling for it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. They have a concert, you fall for it. I want it, I want it, I want it. You have that, I want it. Begin to have a principle. I'm hoping that you're still teaching your children principle, because I taught mine. I taught my girls that you don't take money from any man, because every man that gives you some money have an intention, except is your father, and sometimes even your uncle have a bad intention. So when your uncle give you money, I wanted to know when my children were children. Well, now they're adults. If you don't teach that to your people, then you're falling short of what you should be doing. And for the same reason, if we don't ask questions of this government, we will fall short. So all the things you see that the Prime Minister is accepting refugees and all that, garçon, is people who don't know what they're about, who falling for some, they dangle some carrot and they fall for it. And Dominica, the carrot we got, it was looking like a carrot, but it's a hard wash kai. We can't even bite it. Okay? Because it's after they put a bond on us for visas that we now went to decide that we will take refugees. Ladies and gentlemen, do not let 2026 start with you bowing your eyes and closing your head.
I think Blessings made a reference to Hector Sparks John earlier. Enough said, huh? Enough said.
Because of the actions of Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica, 2026 has started very bad for the people of Dominica living at home and abroad. On January 1st, visa restrictions was imposed on Dominicans traveling to the United States. I was affected because my visa expired and I will not be able to renew my visa until that restriction has been lifted. Also, we're hearing that on January 21st, 2026, there will be a visa bond imposed on Dominicans traveling to the United States up to 15,000 US dollars. That is about 42,000 US dollars. We have also heard that the Prime Minister of Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, signed an agreement with the US to accept US deportees without the knowledge and approval of the people of Dominica. We are also hearing that the US government has given the Prime Minister of Dominica three ultimatums. One, to discontinue the program with the Cuban government. Also, the acceptance of the deportees. And a third ultimatum, I would like to give the Prime Minister of Dominica the privilege to inform the people of Dominica what is the third ultimatum that the United States gave him. I also would like to call on Dominicans that this is not business as usual. We have never seen our country in that situation before. And we as a people must deal with it. We cannot continue to hide behind our curtains, speak in clusters, and not come together to deal with that present situation we have with Roosevelt Skerrit. A reminder, freedom was never given. It was fought for. Blessings.
Hector Sparks John. It's 9:51. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Good morning, Matt.
Morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. Matt, tell me something. Do you know whether or not there was actually an environmental impact assessment done for Desbranches?
I'm not aware.
But why is Roosevelt Skerrit talking as if there was one done? He's talking as if there was one done, and he's even talking about the experts. And he refers to Desbranches. Have you seen Desbranches lately? That all the implementations were done to mitigate the erosion that would be caused by the mining. But I'm asking myself, when was that done? It was done overnight. An environmental impact study should take some time. Roosevelt Skerrit he has a now for now environmental impact with unknown environmentalists. He never even mentioned one of these experts. We saw 3 young environmentalists come and complain about that place, and we all learned their names. We learned where they went to school, their careers. And Roosevelt Skerrit, in his visit to Douglas Child, to the new airport, he mentions an environmental impact assessment that was done, but he doesn't mention the name of the people who did it. He just says the experts. Is Roosevelt Skerrit lying to us again? That is the question that I'm asking, Matt, because I find it was very sudden. They suddenly moved into Desbranches, and when we complain there's no environmental impact assessment, all of a sudden he's speaking as if one was done. I suspect that is a lie, Matt, and I'd like Roosevelt Skerrit to respond to that question. Mr. Skerrit, was there really an environmental impact assessment done for Desbranches? Thank you.
Thank you.
My mom had died. They played that in her funeral.
I guess we'll be getting a latest update this morning, or maybe this afternoon, from the Prime Minister. I know, as I said to you, he's along with some government officials. He'll be in Debuance this morning. I know I told you this morning also that Nasir Fontaine will be there, continuing to stand for Debuance. Let's go.
Point of correction. It's nothing personal. English is a foreign language. Pastor Rodney said, do not, like he told his daughter, do not accept money from any man. Now the word any, let's examine the word any. It can be somebody might take it to mean that from no man at all. Somebody else might take it to be like, it's not from any and anybody. You can accept money from people, but not anybody. Now that second analysis simply shows that it is not everybody that have a wicked intention. So which means you can take money from somebody, or you can accept something from somebody. Because in everything there are exceptions. It's not everybody that have a wicked or a hidden agenda. So, I'm just saying that, like in a point of correction, a little analysis of what he said. Some people mean good, but not everybody that mean good. And it's not everybody that mean bad when they do good for you. Some people do good as a business, which is not supposed to be. If I do something good for you out of a good heart, a righteous heart, I should not expect anything in return, because it will manifest. The blessing will come some way, somehow. I am not even aware, or maybe 10, 20, 30 years down the drain. My child, my grandchild gets into a situation and your grandchild or your cousin help them or whatever. A blessing that there, that started how many decades ago. So I was just concerned about the use of the word any.
All right. Let's go to the telephone. We're monitoring I might be joining MO this morning as we continue to monitor the situation there. Hello, talk to me. Yes, good morning.
Matt, I want to take my fastness and deal with that previous caller. He does not understand what perspective means, obviously. From the perspective of the child, you tell your child, don't accept money from... The father doesn't know the intention of these people, so he makes a blanket rule. And Pastor Rodney was clear. Even the uncle, I want to know if your uncle give you, I have to know. Pastor Rodney was very clear. So this person here talking, he doesn't understand perspective. And I don't know why he would be pushing an agenda like that to say, you must accept money from some men. I really don't understand that. Leave that one alone that we've dealt with. I want to go to the Cabritz National Park. In the Cabritz National Park, they have already built what was originally the Kempinski Hotel. It appears to have been sold once already. That is a clear indication of money laundering. Now we will deal with what is going on there called a marina. Was there an environmental impact study done for that marina, Mr. Skerritt? And how much land are you taking from the Cabritz National Park? To the tune of something I heard, 14 acres, Matt? 14 acres? Our national park? Do you remember just at the hint of starting SIPA, the Sunday Island Port Authority, Patrick John, that was one of the reasons why Patrick John was stoned out of office with the voice of Charles Angelo Savarin. And now Skerritt has given away. That part of the park no longer, does it still belong where that hotel is, whatever its name is, Cabritz Resort? Is it belonging to the government? And that new development, which is now referred to as a marina, who does it belong to? And will it be sold several times? Which another clear indication of money laundering. By the time we track down how many times that land changed. We'll never be able to get that money back. That was our national park, a national park. And Roosevelt Skerrit is selling it off. And I'm just asking a simple question. Was there an environmental impact study done? That's a swamp, yes. Swamp sounds like a dirty word, but it also is a nursery for fish. There's brine shrimp in there that feed young fish who stay there during the dry season. And when the rainy season comes, they're big enough to go out and fend for themselves in the ocean. Is Roosevelt Skerrit going to respond to that? I don't think so, Matt, but thank you for the time.
All right, thank you very much. There's so many issues to talk about, huh? So many responses that you expect from the Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit. Guess we have to take it one day at a time. Now, we concentrating this morning on the Devonshire area. As I said to you, the Prime Minister and his team will be there. I'm sure Nasir Fountain will be there this morning. From my reports, I'm trying to, of course, join with MO this morning. And so I'll see if we can connect and give you an update as to what is going on there in Devonshire. Yes, hello?
Matt, good morning.
Morning to you.
Matt, I heard Pastor Randy say that just now will not be able to go to Canada, will not be able to go to the US. And then, what are we going to do? We might not even be able to go to Guadeloupe and Martinique just here. But Matt, we don't need to be able to go to those places there. All we have to do is go back to our culture. And our culture is a backdoor culture. All we'll be doing is going back to our backdoor culture. So, Pastor Randy, don't be afraid. We can still go Guadeloupe and Martinique. We just have to pass in the back door. Remember, Shakira told us that, eh? We're just going to have to use the back door instead of the front door. That's all. And we don't need those things at all. We don't need them visa, those people visa. We don't need them barrels. We don't need them things. We just have to continue our tradition, our backdoor tradition, and our tooth bag I boy life nice, things sweet. In the Commonwealth, everything nice.
Dominican nice, right? I can sense the sarcasm there. As I said, I'm trying to, of course, hook up with Emmeline Ansam with MO. She did indicate to me she would be on the site. As a matter of fact, I was asked to be there, but it can't be two places at the same time. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Are you there? Yes?
Yes, my brethren. Good morning. How are you doing, man?
I tried my best, yes.
Give thanks, brother. You're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I know every man has a right to pick and choose their conversation, Matt. But I want to say to some people sometime, you can hold your analysis, Matt. What Pastor Rodney put out last night, I listened to him last night and again this morning, and it's coming clearer. I don't want to say anything that anyone take it personal, Matt. But sometimes I think we get misdirected when there are too many more important issues and things you can speak on than for a man to come and take and try to dissect Pastor Rodney word any. My brother, you have a right to speak. But there are important things. Nasir Fountain and Dr. IP is up there in Devonshire calling for people to come and help them out and stand up against this illicit government, man. You play Hector John. He said there are three things that the administration in America gave Roosevelt Skerrit, and he wants him to come straight with the people. These are the things we should be calling for. To get this thieving government out of office, Matt. This government has done too many things that we can get so trivial with all that we could discuss that later. There are too many important things to speak of and for people to stand this coward government and its coward security, Matt. They afraid of the people, and the people must understand where we are, who they are. Matt, you have the man, even his security forces can hardly take care of their own self and their family. You have a man during a protest when the truckers stood up for them. It was shameful looking at a security force member coming almost shoeless with a raggedy rundown shoes. They can't take care of themselves. And we are discussing this kind of things. The country is going to the dogs. Blessing just told you about the condition of some place in Rosa, what he saw, what not. These are the things is what affecting the nation and its people. Matter, I told you, Pastor Rodney hit one on the nail last night. They said something about the pacifier, man, and I told you last week, the psychological pacifier that these criminals have put on the people have them scared to stand up for their rights and defend their country. And what he's saying, that gospel concert that they're giving you is playing on people, man. This is the devil at work in the name of God. Because what he's trying to do is fool the people because he knows what they like. Give them some free. Give them a gospel concert. But his intentions are not good. His intentions are evil. I told you the guy has never been fit to lead. And his very first time in government, that was his intent. I don't care what nobody says. Somebody called you last week and tell you something about, well, the people should give him a break, man. I have a proposition I'd like to make. If they want to give Roosevelt Skerrit a break because he's hurting, I say give the people in Stark Farm, give Thompson Fontaine, Lennox Linton, Brian Linton, all of these people who have been persecuted and persecuted for reasons they have never done what they're trying to put them in the penitentiary for, even assassinate Lennox Linton. No, investigation. No, none of these things. It's too many things this man has done against the nation and its people for us to be dissecting any. And then kind of nonsense, man. We must take things more serious, because if we take things more serious, we'll understand and analyze where the country has been. And we will be much more prepared to move forward and stand up and take a stand. Matt, I'm listening to you. Thank you for all you do, man. I always thank you for what you do, because these days are some serious times, Matt. Thank you.
I'm getting some new information. There are a lot more people from the Carib territory and other officials may be gathered there at Desbranches. Trying to get information there, but it appears that a lot more people have joined Nasir Fontaine and Dr. IP as they stand for Desbranches this morning. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes? Trying to get some...
Yeah, finally for the morning, Matt. Matt, let us excuse the caller. That's his level of comprehension of what Pastor Rodney said. Excuse the brother. He made a comment about the English language is a fine language, but he missed the context in which what Pastor Rodney said was put or taken. Matt, you know what I find that is a bit strange, Matt? Matt, you must be noticing it. You're a journalist. You have investigative skills. You have social skills, engaging people, listening to people, and all of that. Matt, what manner of fear Dominicans are driven by, Matt? Matt, you notice there's a height of fearfulness in Dominica, Matt?
I don't know why, though. I don't know why.
Years ago, you told me about a police officer. You told us about a police officer. I know who he was. I don't know if you want me. I will not even mention his name. Who met Carlisle and tell him he don't even want to talk to Carlisle because somebody accused him of maybe talking to Carlisle and might give him police information and all those kind of things there, you know, Matt. That's why I love Checo. I just love Checo. Because, Matt, as I said, Matt, your fears does not protect you. And 95% of your fears are in your imagination or is in your imagination. Because, Matt, you know the amount of things we have been fearful of, Matt, and we are still here, Matt?
That's true.
And all what we were fearful of, 95% of them never come to pass. So it's a conditioning. Fearfulness is quite paralyzing and frozening or freezing. Matt, what that is happening here in Skerrit is our storms. Who is the hour, Matt? That is the same man that went to the parliament when Alex, that woman they call Knight, was there and say, we are too free, and for emphasis, did he repeat it 3 times, Matt?
I think so.
He said Dominica is not a real country. He said Dominica money is not the people's money. And that what Skerritt is using is the psychology of obviousness. You see where you have your bike, Matt? Don't worry. One day when you say I take it and go. Matt, you're not removing that bike from there. You don't think you need to secure that bike. And every time I telling you the same thing, Matt, the daily bike rules. All you say in Blessings was warning me all the time. You don't know it's Blessings that take your bike. Blessings that take your bike, boss. All the time he was telling it to you, you talk about sarcasm. Brian used a thing yesterday and calling on labor rights to help to fight and defend the Prime Minister, our beloved Prime Minister, because the Chinese are holding him hostage. He cannot talk, so he's calling them out to help to defend and protect the Prime Minister from the Chinese. Matt, isn't that sarcastically psychological, Matt?
True.
It's the same thing Skerritt is doing in Dominica, using all his sarcasm and his psychology, and a lot of us, because if you tell me those things quite obviously, quite clearly and openly, I will not believe that is your intentions. The money is not yours. Your country is too free. No law, no constitution. And he hitting you with a barrage of issues. And I tell you that in conclusion, Matt. Skerritt like to go to a height. And he's telling God, giving you $1 million for that competition. He dropping a bucket of softballs, Matt. And he's telling you, if you catch one, you'll get $1 million. But when 2 hits in your hand, they bounce off. 1 hit on your eye, 1 hit on your forehead, 10 hits on your shoulder. Hey, Matt, you know when the whole bucket of ball fall and you did not catch not one ball, Matt?
True.
Because you cannot pay attention to any one issue. He hitting you with a bucket of issues, one upon the other. He creating issues. And let Matt, every day Matt have to talk about 3 things. Matt says he's a gynecologist. You have to try to deliver how many babies in a day. Did you say that, Matt? So, Matt, Dominica is a strange place with a lot of strange people. That's why I love the word peculiar, strange, odd, and unusual. And we are a strange, odd, and unusual people who sits there thinking we're going to pray and our troubles will go away. Read Deuteronomy, read Revelation, read many parts in the Bible. It is stating that God sent man to war, to kill men, women, and children. Not even the baby that suck on the mother's breast shall escape. Not even the dog that pees against the wall. Not even their crops or the animal shall escape. If the Bible is true, keep being on your knees when you need leverage to reach to deliver your country. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. And as I said, I'm trying to monitor what's going on there. In Debonch, I've been told that a few more people are gathered there this morning. Actually trying to see if we can, the organizers can manage a bus if this continues by tomorrow, to get a bus to join the protest action. But a few more people are there. I heard a lot of Carib, of course, villagers from the Kalinago territory have joined the team of protesters. So we'll get an update and let you know what's going on, okay?
Well, stock, supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh Market, your one stop. Fresh Market,
Just me goal winning Roseau again. Same place outside Flossies. I tried to dock in, but you had time see me. Well, story start again. Million, lot of my power we got, huh? Talk fella. I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossies. And you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I'm busy. It's to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket the boy. I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh, shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. Tupac expecting why? When I Kadima Pepper Palais, I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Fawcett's, right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Fawcett's can't do it to you.
So the retaining wall firstly serves that function in terms of safety of personnel, equipment, and installations. Secondarily, the retaining wall also serves to complement our on-site drainage system in controlling the number of.
Just to inform you that we have joined, of course, the government delegation up there at Daywash, and that's why we bring it to you live.
These culverts, of course, join onto culverts located on the main road and then flow along the natural drainage course into the riparian zone. You'll observe that to mitigate against any potential sedimentation or turbidity increase in the riparian zone, on site, we have established 3 sedimentation ponds that have been concreted recently. The function of the sedimentation pond is to remove any sediment within the surface flow before it enters the riparian zone. It will do so through several functions. Firstly, through reducing the velocity of the water, and secondly, through trapping the sediment. So we reduce the velocity, we trap the sediment, we reduce the turbidity, we improve the clarity of the water, of course, in keeping with the tourism product that Concord is known for. So you can look to the retaining wall, you can look to the establishment of the 3 sedimentation ponds and the concreting of on-site drains, thereby establishing the on-site drainage system as some key measures in terms of protecting our riparian zone. Now, to mitigate against the activity of the trekking of mud onto the roadway, which will make the road very unsafe for motorists and pedestrians alike, you can observe to my rear, we have the establishment of a wheel wash bay. It is designed in a somewhat concave manner, such that the trucks will enter this area, they'll be washed, and any dirt, mud, or particulate matter, fines, etc., will be washed out and then transported to the sedimentation pond so that they can be trapped. And then we'll have a clear flow entering the drainage system. So as required, as the site, if the project is approved, expands, we will establish additional wheel wash areas in keeping with international standards. Another measure that will be in place on site is the establishment of check dams. This one has not yet been initiated, but the check dams will see the construction of several gabion baskets lined with geotextile. They will be located at the outlets or beyond the outlets of the main road culverts. So this would further reduce any sedimentation within the flow from the main road culvert outlet before it reaches the riparian zone. And there will be several layers of these gabion check dams. Okay? So these are the major measures that have been implemented thus far in terms of the retaining wall, sedimentation ponds, okay, and the wheel wash area. And there are additional measures that colleagues will also speak to, such as the buffer zone, which is very important in terms of maintaining it to preserve our biodiversity and mitigate impacts in that regard. But I just want to say to the general public that MMCD and CR5 are committed to following international standards and national legislation as it relates to environmental, social, safety, and health impacts. And we'll continue to work with local experts and residents to get all the recommendations we need to address these matters. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelvin Felix, Assistant Forest Officer, Forestry Division, attached to the Protection and Conservation Unit. To date, the activities of the Forestry Division have been focused on runoff erosion, reducing erosion, runoff and sedimentation, and visual impact of the quarry. The quarry boundaries with the Northern Forest Reserve at the top, and to date, there's a buffer zone which is 50 meters. So we provide a 50-meter buffer zone between the quarry and the forest reserve. We have given technical advice to the developers with the implementation of sediment ponds to be done on site. We have also given the specific measurements for the sediment ponds, which is minimum 2 meters wide and 3 meters deep. This enables for easy access, easy cleaning access of the sediment ponds. Also, it was advised to the developers regular maintenance be done of the sediment ponds, that is to remove the sediments, the silt, in a timely manner. We cannot give a specific timeline as to say perhaps 2 weeks to remove the sediment, but with frequent monitoring, the sediments will be cleaned. Also, we encourage the developers to do terracing on the southwest end of the quarry. The terracing will be done with a gradient so that the water can flow back to the cliff and the water can drain out through the drains, and you can divert the water to the existing sediment ponds on site. And with frequent monitoring, if there needs to be an increase in sediment ponds, then it will be done on site to minimize the amount of sediment erosion going down into the pool, into the river, sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much. This one, yeah. Good morning, everybody, and the listeners on various mediums. I'm just happy to be here this morning at the Dearborn site. This site is an area that has been quarried before, back in the 1970s. And in moving forward with the existing works for the international airport, the Ministry of Environment, we're taking this responsibility very seriously to ensure that all of the resources and the energy and the mitigation measures are put in place to ensure that the integrity of the land space remain intact. We are very mindful that there's a public concern as to what's happening here within this space, the Dearborn quarry space. And so our response to the concerns is to connect with the developer and to have them to understand that there are scientifically proven methods of keeping this space intact while we do the quarrying process. The advice from the Division of Forestry is very, very important in this process, because we are on the borders of a national park, and also we are bordered by a major river, and on the other side of the river we have an indigenous community, and we also have residents downstream. So we're taking this intervention very, very seriously. One of the things we're mindful of is that the fact remains that this area has the best quality material that is needed for moving the project forward. The assessments have been done, and this comes from the previous intervention in 1979, when this place was quarried to resurface parts of the Douglas Charles Airport. We are mindful that when we do interventions like this, when there's quarrying, not to be confused with mining, by the way, when there's quarrying done for material, that there will be environmental impacts, and some of them can be very, very visible. The river being brown, being dirty, the causeways being muddy, but we are mindful that we are doing this development, mindful that we can do the mitigation methods. No one remembers this space after 1979 because the forest took over. The developers at the time backfilled this entire space, and that's why this soil is very, very loose. And we forgot that it was an active quarry for some time, because a secondary forest took over. In the same way, we're moving forward to ensure that the work that we do from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry in particular will rehabilitate this entire space. So we're speaking to terracing, we're speaking to using the endemic species in that space to reforest that space. And it is very important that we do this. We are very mindful that the public outcry is important. And we have to speak to this thing that is important as citizens of our country to question what's happening within our space. But we're also very, very happy and very delighted to tell folks that we are doing those measures to ensure that the integrity of this space can be sustained for future generations. So a generation ago, we had this space excavated for quarrying purposes, and now we're doing the very same thing. The developer has come on board. We had a meeting last year. The Prime Minister was present, and because he had a concern on behalf of the citizens as well as to what has been happening here. And this and many other meetings have been held for the last couple of weeks to ensure that the developer and the contractor and we at the Division of Forestry keep on doing the work that we are entrusted to do. We are very mindful that big development like this can affect daily lives,
can affect the way people view the development. But we're also mindful that quarrying has been part of the Dominica landscape for some time. We have quarries on the west coast. We have quarries along the northeast coast, and we're hoping that when we do this well, once we do this well, that we'll be able to extract the material that is needed, and also have a space that will be reforested, and that nature would take its course. So we're happy to be here and happy to hear the concerns for the citizens. But I'm also concerned as a citizen myself that that the scientific method of dealing with these situations has to be very, very clear. We ought not to be emotional about these issues. And as a citizen of this country, I get very, very concerned when people get emotional and very reactive. Because there are those among us here, even here today, who are more than able to participate and help in the solutions. But I see personalities that is only coming forward when there appears to be a problem, and try in various ways to magnify the problem. And so we are the Division of Forestry and the Ministry of Environment. We're happy to have this conversation. The conversations or a roadside conversation as a technical person, a scientifically trained person, is not something that we should have. This meeting should be in an office space where we sit and we rationalize the way forward. These ideas of standing on the side of a road and being emotional and using our experience over time to qualify why we should be there and jumping around and prancing, I think it is sad for our country. It's really, really sad for citizens to be that way. And so we are mindful that we can have this conversation moving forward, that we can sit in as civilized people to have this conversation and to bring all players on board. We have, for the last few weeks, brought the contractor and developer to the table, and to ensure that they do the protocols and all the necessary work has to be done as per the law. But also mindful that there's the heritage and culture and livelihoods that are also being affected, and that is beyond law and other commitments. So we are at this table to ensure that we can get the best for this country, and that when we balance development and natural resource use, that we can do it in a proper way. I just say that from the Ministry of Environment end, and from me as a minister, I'm open to every discussion, to any discussion, which is scientifically sound, which balance development and extraction of resources, and the best minds can concede to ensure that we have a smooth development of a project that is vital to our country, but also to use the materials within our space to do so. Thank you very much.
I mentioned earlier, objective of the request of the Honorable Prime Minister is to show the media and members of the public the measures that have been implemented, the mitigation measures that have been implemented since his visit to the Baywatch site in late December. So we've heard from the forestry official, we've heard from Mr. Benoit. Welcome. Is any follow-up questions that you have? I've also arranged for Mr. Benoit to take you around the site as part of your live broadcast, so he can show you these mitigation points that have been implemented.
So the plan for this area is to ensure that there's reforestation, that we bring back the
I suspect something just went wrong there. The audio, we're still trying to follow. And as soon as we can reconnect, we'll allow you to hear. So there's no voice as we speak. And now the Minister of Environment, from what I'm looking at, is addressing the media and those who are there at this point. I'm contacting MO to let her know there's no audio. Let's see what happens.
Last week, it is campaign. But as a matter of fact, even before this part, there's a report because he looked and so you can like that there will be some other from this. And while we are not taking some funds, we all bit of that happening this past year. And this happens every event in the and this happens because of bad practice many years ago. And for the forest, some people have private lands that the government has. So all of these are people that see from long term. In this case, we step in terms of the regular
also, we should see that the principles and both of the concerns. There is some kind of I would say asking of one-on-ones.
Well, my ministry, the ministry having to read for the last 6 years, we have a wonderful upon you can come anytime. We do have a radio show with different colors. We have access, we give people access to our spaces. And unfortunately, we don't have anything in formal writing that is of interest. Or even a walking, we speak about it and we can see some narrative on it. Like we see in the colors and issues, it's not a good way to deal with the issue like the national conversation. It's still open, even where we are this point. We have the conversation with the public and policy to discuss the also sisters community.
What do you think of this statement by one of our citizens yesterday?
Who are we talking about?
Nasir Fountain.
Well, Nasir Fountain is an icon. I can well imagine that when you're an icon, you're a legend, and that if you speak truth to power, that you will have a following. I in my mind, as a citizen, and Nasir is also a Kalinago brother in many senses of the way. There are many other issues that I would love Nasir to address and work with me as well. It's really strange that it's happening with this one, and maybe that's a start, and that he can join me as a fellow Kalinago warrior to expand and to have this conversation in the public as to how we can keep the cultural and heritage integrity of this country intact while doing development. And maybe we will do an album one of those days, a nice solid Kalinago album, because there are also issues that affect the space that he's part of, and that he can help us to bring to a sense to a normal sense, and to get people to be part and parcel of the movement.
There are suggestions that government's policy on the environment is lacking. How much can you tell us with regards to the EIA and also government's policy on?
Well, government policy is very clear. Since Hurricane Maria, the total forest destroyed. And again, here's one of the issues. Some of the folks who are talking about this particular area were never interested in helping to reforest the country. After all the forest was knocked down, they were not interested. And nature took back its course. And the policy is very clear that we want to build a better country, a more resilient country, better infrastructure, and to be the first climate resilient country. But in so doing, we have to be able to use the resources you have and also use it wisely. So while we're extracting this to do a major project like the airport, we are mindful that it will take from the lands. And we have to be able to address it in a timely way, and to address it in a scientific way that future generations will benefit and understand why we took this initiative in the first place.
Any possible questions from us?
Right on.
Please? All right, that'd be nice.
Come to the camera. I need the mic. Good, no problem. Good morning, Mr. Minister and the rest of the group. I'm very happy that you came out. I suppose in default of or something. Is the environment minister? Okay, do that, right? Thank you for the education. But let's get back to some basics because there are some things that some of us need to be informed of. For starters, we're mining for the airport. How much materials do we need for the airport? Corin for the mining is a generic term. Corin is specific to rocks. So it's mining. Let's not throw smoke in our eyes. We're mining for the airport aggregate. How much aggregates do we need for the airport? And is that the only source? And is the economic advantage of taking it here overwhelming that we can do this scarring that you spoke? Technically, when technical people see a scar, we know there's something under the scar. So first question, how much are we going to take out of here? And how do we justify, with those numbers, open an entirely new mine for that volume? Second technical question, what type of material that we need for an airport? Runway that is built millions of times over the world, that we need it specifically here, and not from Coliho, not from Asolda, not from Pigua, not from next door at Wadiab, that we need to find it here. What is the cost? Economic cost, resource cost, environmental cost of doing that? Have we put that into the figure? And Mr. Benoit, we speak about sedimentation tank. What are the parameters used to design this sedimentation tank? What are the technical parameters? How much flow we're speaking about? How much sediments you need to settle? I would like to see the engineering calculation for sedimentation tanks. I actually have done a few sedimentation tanks in my life. And I would like to assist in seeing whether that you have done the right work. Mr. Frederick spoke, Honorable Frederick spoke about assisting. And he also spoke about bringing in, or one of them spoke about bringing in the contractors and the developer, which kind of sounds odd, knowing the little I know about our laws when it comes to a project like that. It sounds like doing it from the cart rather than the horse. We should not be bringing in a contractor. The contractor and developer should be coming here. It's an airport proposal. Well, I suppose design airport proposal, which would have decided where we needed material. I saw a drill rig up there. You should be able to tell me what depth are the rocks that you're going to find, what layers are in between, and all the technical issues. We see a scar. We want to know what's below the scar.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Go ahead, Mr. Benoit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benoit and Mr. Libla, and thank you to everybody else for coming. Thank you for your question. If I don't respond to any direct sub-question, just refresh and I will speak to it. Okay? Firstly, just to state that there is a fundamental difference between mining and quarrying. Mining would specify or focus more on the extraction of metals, whereas quarrying would be more focused on the extraction of construction material. Mining would more generally include chemical processes to obtain, again, metals, whereas in the process of quarrying is very straightforward, where you use basic crushing and screening to obtain aggregate for construction processes. Okay? And just to say also, one of the final differences, and significant differences, in fact, in terms of mining and quarrying, is that with mining, you have to go to very great depth in order to obtain what we refer to as ore. So you don't go mining for stones, okay? You go mining for ore, which is of a metallic nature, okay? But when we refer to quarrying, it's normally open pit, and we don't have to go so deep. So those are the two distinctions, okay? In terms of the quantity, The Dominica International Airport project necessitates a volume of approximately 400,000 cubic meters of aggregate of varying qualities and different quantities. Okay, we can have subsequent discussions, Mr. Libla, upon verification of data from the contractor to provide with further details, but that is the general figure, which of course, in keeping with project adjustments and realities, may increase or decrease, okay? So this is a guiding figure. In terms of location, presently, the project has quarries located at Anzime and at Crapo Hall Estate with a crushing plant at Hatton Garden, okay? So in terms of the quality of material, that will be based on the geology of the area, and you can, of course, as has been alluded to through previous speakers, conduct scientific testing to determine the features of that material. And based on very internationally experienced firm which we have engaged to do the soil testing and geotechnical testing, we have assurance that the quality of the material here is of the highest order, of the desired order, and hence we are coming here. Moving further afield from this location, I just give a typical example. Moving from Crapo Hall, which is in close proximity to this site, to here, is already having significant cost implications for the project in terms of transportation, in terms of resources, which would include fuel, wear and tear, and also significantly we need to consider the impact to the community. Because the further we go, is the more communities that will be impacted to and fro in terms of the haulage route. So based on those factors, we think that this site was ideal, and thankfully, thanks be to God, it has the perfect material for us. Of course, Mr. Libla, we can subsequently explore in detail in terms of the hydrological studies and the geotechnical studies done in terms of the sedimentation ponds. But as we know, very straightforward in terms of civil engineering work. So at any time, we can meet to discuss these in an appropriate forum. Any of your questions I missed?
I would tend to think so. You said the volume, you need 400,000 cubic meters. That's a minimum. If we're looking at 2 meter thick layer if we speak about 2 meter thick layer of rock, let's assume unexpectedly it's a uniform 2 meter thick layer, and let's assume that it's pretty much close to the surface, as you assume that we don't have to go deep. I would tell you in Collioure they're going close to 100 meters in some cases, and that's quarry. So let's assume it's 2 meters thick. That's 20 hectares. I multiply it by 2.25. That gives you how much, Mr. Benoit?
Let me just say...
I'm speaking about the acreage that you have to destroy to get the 200 cubic meters.
No, sir, I think you're misrepresenting what I said. I said that the entire Dominica International Airport project necessitates...
so how much do you need for here?
Of 400,000
How much do you need for here? This is not
something that I can express without details and without advice from the contractor, which I had also advised willing to sit and to meet to have those details. Remember, I'm responsible for environment, social health, and safety, in which I will have these details, but I can't be expected to produce that detail right here. But definitely, subsequent we can meet and I can give you those details. Okay?
Hello, everyone. It's you I also want to speak with. Janelle Brisbane here. I am an interdisciplinary ecologist, a PhD student. First of all, I just want to clarify that according to the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica under our Physical Planning Act, quarrying, it comes under mining. The law defines mining, including the taking of stones, and there are such things as shallow pit open mines. A simple search could be able to tell that to the public. So please let us not misrepresent information here. What I would like to ask is, especially to the Ministry of Environment and to my forestry colleagues, as once being a part of the Ministry of Environment, again, the official maps of the Commonwealth of Dominica have clearly expressed that this area has already encroached on the Northern Forest Reserve, which is, public information. And before I get further into this, I want to, say thank you to the Minister for your pledge to speak in with the members of the public, especially the scientific authority, and for, keeping it as scientific and factual as possible, for your pledge to for your pledge to respecting the rights of the Dominican people, especially our constitutional rights to access to information and sharing of information, especially with the ratification of the Escazú Agreement in 2024, which gives the public the right, the basic human right to access this information for to be part of public consultation prior to the commencement of this work and to seek out environmental justice and to be safe in seeking out environmental justice and standing up for our rights. So, thank you for your continued pledge to the general Dominican people, but also to our shared Kalinago ancestors. I would like to know, because this area has already encroached, one of your mitigation strategies speaks about the buffer zone to the Northern Forest Reserve and that we are bordering, but the official maps already show that we have taken out forest cover within the Northern Forest Reserve. So if that is the case, which the official maps show and the markings on the ground also show, then we have already gone against the mitigation strategy for a 50-meter buffer zone because we are already inside the park. So in that case, what are you all planning to do with that information? How are you planning on bringing back that 50-meter buffer zone and restoring the parklands?
Good morning again. So with the slight encroachment that has already happened, the division has stopped the developers, and we have also, together with the Land and Surveys division, came and redemarcate the buffer zone, including the 50 meters, and then the area that is already encroached, we're going to reforest the area. So we did an assessment, and in total, there's going to be an approximate of maybe 2,500 to 3,000 wildlings that we're going to replant in a space of 4 meters distance apart. And we intend to replant for trees that were existing. So we're going to use, I think, the blue maho, because we introduced blue maho here in the beginning. Then we plant just the wild maho itself and other species. So we already did the assessment of the area, and we intend to reforest the area.
So my follow-up question to that, on my scientific advice, I would actually advise against blue maho. Please, I would keep this as native species as possible. Our research has showed, Gary Oguis, who's here with me today, his master's research showed that this is actually the 4th densest valley for our parrots. So it's especially important that we plant as many native tree species as possible, especially food sources, and that would draw the attention away from the neighboring farms, because this is actually forcing wildlife onto neighboring farms and creating human-wildlife conflict. Wait, before you go into that, because I have another question. Given that they have encroached in this area, am I right to assume that Montreal Management and CR5 or whoever is responsible never approached the Ministry of Environment or the Forestry Division with their actual boundaries? Have you seen their boundaries? Because the boundaries they presented, approximately half of the 160 acres is within the Northern Forest Reserve. And knowing forestry from my first-hand experience, y'all would have never approved such of a project to take out so many acres, or the ministry within this area. So my follow-up question to that is, did y'all give approval for this site to be within our Northern Forest Reserve to take out so much of our protected lands?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Brisbane. Of course, Ms. Brisbane, when you was employed the 1st October 2 years ago, right? And was one of our young talents, and I respect her professional work on this matter. As I said, the Forestry Division has always had, one of the strong points of the Forestry Division is that participatory forest management, and that's something I've always encouraged because in our small staff we're not able by ourselves to be able to do all the work. So we've always had people call us about when they have wildlife. We can't be everywhere. So when there's infringement, somebody probably have illegal wildlife or illegal lumber, etc. from the forest. So we're happy for that type of interaction, right? But in terms of the as you was mentioned there by the press secretary, the Prime Minister himself alluded to the fact he came on site out of some certain concerns and if you listen to the press conference with the Prime Minister in late December, he mentioned that he was in fact concerned that certain activities were probably not going as it should have, right? Taking that form. And we ourselves were concerned about that ourselves. And since then, that's why the project was actually put on pause for us to be able to look at some of these issues and deal with it in a manner. And that is why we're here today, to actually speak to some of the issues that we're actually dealing with. So Mr. Felix mentioned that we had some discussions. We actually stopped to get the land and surveys to look at some of because we had, as you rightfully said, some conflict in terms of some of the original boundary markers. So in a sense, that actually assisted us to be able to verify in a tangible way some of the areas that were encroachment, and then we saw the minor encroachment that was done, and we immediately put mitigation measures. And I can tell you that since the last visit of the Prime Minister, every single week the Forestry Division has been there, with reports submitted to our PS and our ministry, shared with other departments, showing exactly what is being done. If we see that anything is not being done according to the plan, we immediately stop these people and tell them, hey, we have to continue based on what we're talking about. And we've spoken about the 50-meter buffer zone. We're working towards it, but let's be fair. I'm in any sort of development, while sometimes those things happen. All right, I mean, those of us who build private houses with private homes, we know that sometimes the physical planning division, sometimes we get an approved plan, and then somebody from back will come there. Sometimes I myself had issues with that. So if a back will come and they even cut a little bit on somebody's land, and then you have all these different things and so on, and then you have to try to amicably resolve it. So that is where we are right now in that process. All right. So the Forestry Division is doing its part, and all the other government entities. And as I said, from a political standpoint, we are actually instructed for us to take note, and actually address some of these issues, and that's where we are right now. And I can guarantee you, Ms. Brisbane, as what rightfully said, I think Mr. Libla mentioned that he's willing to come on board. You know me very well, because Ms. Brisbane was someone from since her high school time at the Convent High School, from Tate Former, so she was coming every summer. I would take her in. Then she went to college. Then she went to university. When she came back, there was not even official position. I put her in a position just to get her, because I really wanted to get that type of level of talent on board. Mr. Gary Ogis, he did his master's degree with the University of the West Indies, again through direct cooperation with Forestry Division. He was working with us. So we are for that type of interaction, and we're very happy for it. What I don't like sometimes is that when there's not that type of engagement, and then people go about saying all kinds of different aspersions. I'm not going on the division. I mean, we're public servants and we expect to get some level of this. But the whole idea is that at the end of the day, all of us are Dominicans. And that is my personal perspective on things. And I really look forward to working with everybody. We have an open, as the minister said, we have an open door policy. Anybody can walk into my office, and I open my door for them for us to have open discussions. None of us is expert. I myself don't consider myself any expert on any matter by myself. All of us have our strong points and our negative points. And it's the coming together of the minds that we can able to better build Dominica. That's how I look at it. All right. That's how I look at it. And as I said, Ms. Brisbane, my door, we might have had our little thing in between as everything else, but my door is always open. All right. We can come in, we can discuss, as you mentioned, some of the species, we can have some interaction into that, but we do have a plan, and a concrete plan, and we're seeing through it. As I said, every week there. We're on the site and ensuring that. All right.
One more question.
In terms of when you spoke to the wildlife and bringing back the wildlife with agroforestry, the intention between the Ministry of Environment and the developer at the end of the lifespan of the quarry is to reforest the area into an agroforestry site. So we use that as an agroforestry site. After we bring back the soil, we plantain, breadnut, breadfruit, penny piece amongst the other forest species, which would be ed for the wildlife, the flora and the fauna, so they could have food to eat.
All right. So just one more question. Sorry. Given the area that if you were to respect the buffer zone and the protected lands, given that area, it's going to be a very minor piece of land that you have to operate on, and I don't foresee you being able to achieve the quantity of stones that is needed for this airport. They also claim that this has better stone than Crapo Hall, but our geological reports reveal elsewise. So again, in keeping with the respect to our rights and the freedom of information and access to information of the public, we would absolutely love all the members of the public to be able to see the geotechnical reports that would be able to speak to the site. That should be public information. It should also be with physical planning. But speaking of the authorities, stepping in and taking control of this site, it is our understanding from firsthand information that there is actually a stop order on this site because this site has no permission from physical planning. So, Mr. Benoit, you had mentioned earlier that you are keeping with international standards, and you did say if the site were approved, but international standards requires you to have permission before this large-scale destruction is done. So my question is, what approval do you currently have to operate at the site, and who has granted you this permission?
As has been, thank you for your question. And if I don't respond to any component of it, then you can just reiterate. Okay, this is the last question from what I understand. The project was proposed in April, and in April of this year, there was a visit on the 17th of April of last year, there was a site visit including stakeholders, including the Physical Planning Division, Forestry Division, Environmental Health Department, and other key stakeholders, in which every stakeholder was sensitized as to the need for the project, its rationale, all of the details. At that point, the developer and contractor sought confirmation as to whether or not the site was indeed within any protected area, reserve, etc., etc. As has been articulated previously, there was a minor encroachment and that has been addressed. However, from the onset, the intention has never been to encroach, has never been to go beyond the limits. Just to explain to the general public that this area where we are presently is not within the site in and of itself. So sometimes people traverse the main road and they think that this site is also within the boundary. This site consists of several lots, the government subdivision, and the boundary is actually higher up along the ridge. Okay, so just to make that distinction. In terms of the process of project implementation, to conduct the necessary geotechnical tests, to get details required to plan the site, even, for example, to construct the retaining wall, etc., okay, and to do the baseline assessments for the impact assessment, the contractor and the developer were granted access to the site. I will inform the public, I can respect that you see a significant impact to the physical landscape, but in terms of the phases of a project, this project is not yet in its construction phase. The simple thing that will confirm that to everybody is that if it is actually approved and the actual construction phase begins, the volume of works and the potential risk and impact, it will be far more significant than what we are presently facing. However, what I want to underscore is that it demonstrates that CR5 and MMCD, in keeping with all of the other project stakeholders, the mindset is to have the mitigation measures in place and well in place, okay, as we go along. We got access to the site, and we immediately started work on the environmental and social impact assessment, which took several months to prepare, because you have to work along with the Forestry Division to do the initial assessment on the flora and fauna. You also, and make sure there are no species of economic importance that need to be extracted. You also need to work with the police department to do the traffic surveys, to position all of the safety signs that you see along the roadway. That was based on visits conducted with inspectors of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, well before June or July or any excavation started here. So the mindset from the onset has always been to plan, define, and implement mitigation measures well in advance in keeping commensurate with the potential impact on the environment. At the time that the project was stopped, the contractor was already prepared and in position to do the very measures that we are witnessing today. But we respect that, because as everybody can acknowledge, all stakeholders and the general public is the key stakeholder. So whenever there is a recommendation, as I've said to all colleagues, please let us have the discussion. But what we cannot do is develop plans in the inappropriate forum. For example, we cannot sit here today and come up with any, serious constructive plans or do engineering calculations here. We need to have the data before us. We need to be in the appropriate forum and have a constructive discussion in terms of how we can continue to mitigate the measures. So the project has not been commenced. This is not the construction phase of the project, but rest assured that what we're hoping to do is to demonstrate that by the time, if the project is approved, we have the capacity, the wherewithal to mitigate against any significant impact to the social or the natural environment.
We'll take one final question from the chief, and we'll move on, please.
A special good morning to everyone and to all the viewers via the various media houses. I'm really happy to be here today to be part of this discussion. This is the first time that we are being engaged in this discussion. In fact, somebody had to show me who Benoit is, because that's the first time I'm actually seeing him in person. And I honestly feel that, it's quite disappointing for such a major project like this, having so much impact on the indigenous community. So I'm here today to represent the voice of my people. I'm not into all the other technicalities and so on, but the major impact that it has been having on my community. I've been listening and I've been following, and I heard that there has been an environmental social impact study. The first question I have to ask is, were the indigenous community assessed? Was it part of that assessment? Because first of all, as indigenous people, we are governed by laws and rules, and one of the things is free, prior, and informed consent. And no one reached out to the council, so I just wanted to find out if within that assessment, whether any consideration was given to our community or the impact it would have on that community. The second question I have is, we're talking about the best rocks, and I just cannot understand it. I mean, we don't have to go to university to think and to reason. We have been in Guadeloupe and Martinique import the stones and the rocks here from Dominica, and they've literally built their country from what they import from us, and they're getting it from the other quarries. So we have an international airport that all of a sudden cannot use the same rocks to build an airport. So the question is, can you make available to us? Because when I came here, I was expecting three things. I asked the Prime Minister yesterday when I met with him and his team for three things. One, the environmental social impact study, that we need to have a copy of it. Secondly, we need to have the confirmation letter from planning saying that they have to go ahead to do the project. And thirdly, the report stating that this is the only area you can get the best rocks. So we need this information in order to be able to work with you. And we also need to have consultation. It's really disappointing, like I said, to be here the first time having a conversation on the media about this whole project. There are several times I tried to bring it up. I know the PS came to my office, I brought it up. I've never had a meeting with my minister. He said he has an open door policy, but nobody reached out to us, and we haven't seen him, or he never reached out to talk to us about this project. So I'm hoping that, going forward for the indigenous people, we will have a little more dialogue, especially when it's impacting our communities and the indigenous people voicing their concerns about the impact it's having. It's not no emotional story here. We have people who use the river every day and they can no longer use the river. It's itching their skin, so there's a health risk, and we do not know the further health impact it's going to have. So I want to know the health impact it's going to have on the community. There are areas within the territory that have land slippage in Mahod River and Salibia. People had to evacuate certain areas to be able to move to be safe. How is the destruction of this area where they're going to use dynamite, if they're going to or not, going to impact these other areas, how it's going to affect them. So there's a disaster risk attached as well. And that is why it's so important we are able to get the environmental and social impact study, particularly to do with the Kalinago territory. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll let Mr. Benoit, I believe, give closing remarks. So on the issue of consultation, the Prime Minister has stated repeatedly that he is open to speaking with the various stakeholders. And he has also said very openly that he's open to considering the advice, the suggestions, the recommendations from the various stakeholders who have an interest in this project and who have an interest in making representation on behalf of the public. So on that part, in terms of meeting with the stakeholders, meeting with interest groups, having a conversation, the Prime Minister has said repeatedly that he is open to that. So I will let the Honourable Minister close off and then we'll take it from there.
Oh, okay. I want to hold my own drink. Yeah. The man's big enough. I can take that. Thank you very much, everyone here, for being part of this conversation. I think it's an important, healthy conversation to have as it regards to national development. Also, I want to thank the Chief for being here, for being across the border into the national space to look at national issues. That's why I'm a Minister of Environment for the country, because I think the national space has a lot to lean on the Kalinago folks, but also the Kalinago folks have a lot to do internally among themselves. And so I hope in Chief we can address the internal problems before we cross the borders and get into the national space. And also, it's important to know that, like I said earlier on, I haven't opened the policy. I was hoping that we could have had this conversation before. But importantly, just trying to rationalize this entire movement here. We have a national project. We have a site that has the material that we need. You can well imagine that if you have to transport material from the West Coast, the number of communities is going to affect. The road network will be destroyed as well. The infrastructure that is being built. So we keep talking about it. We don't have to go to university and stuff. But I think this is also important that even driving a truck through the Kalinago space when we did the East Coast Road, it affects a number of communities. So this close proximity of that quarry to the airport project will help, because there will be less communities that will be affected. But just to finally say that we're on top of this, the Ministry of Environment, we are doing the best with the science that we have to ensure that the developer and the contractor will do the best practices. We'll continue to monitor. This is a firm commitment from me as the minister. And I want to thank the staff who've been out here every week, Mr. Felix and Mr. Paul and the other staff who are here, because I think they are taking this work very seriously. And I want to commend them and the director for continuing to help us to protect the assets that we have as a country. And while we do protect our assets, we do it in a manner that we can also develop our country moving forward. I want to thank you guys for being here this morning. We'll be here every week. Monitoring and ensuring that we play our part. And so you're also invited to come in every week if you have the time and energy, and to be part of this conversation as we continue to ensure that the responsibility we have as a government to ensure the assets that we have from nature, we can put it into best practice. Thank you very much.
You're listening to DBS Radio. It is 5 minutes after 11. We just brought you live coverage of a site.
All right, Dominique, over here. Of course, we're taking the audio there from the national radio station. Of course, we lost Emo a couple minutes ago, so we had to transition. But I'm sure you enjoyed the conversation, and we will continue to talk at the 1 o'clock hour Very interesting conversation there. Welcome back at 1 o'clock. Stick around.
Tourists come for carnival. She want to wine and dine with me. But this time I get so damn afraid. Because I hear the talking about it. She tell me don't know that it. I hear telling lies on it. So do what minds are talking the truth. Yes. Not the spirit. So don't be afraid, love. Me ain't have no aid that it. I can make it great. Yeah, she calling to tell them.
Easy Rock 95.1. More rock, less talk while you work. The latest soft rock, hit after hit. Tune into Easy Rock 95.1, the best mid-morning show in the right here on Q95, the big station.
The land of bouillon invites you to immerse yourself in a diverse cultural experience. The Real Mass Dominica's Carnival, January 10, February 18, 2026. See you there. More information available at www.dominicafestivals.com.
Drinking hot rum, no chaser. The brand from Angostura. Drinking that no kid, no joke. Pass the white chocolate. I drinking hot rum, no chaser. The brand from Angostura. Drinking that no kid, no joke. Pass the white chocolate. White top we drinking. White top we drinking. White top we drinking. We drinking. White top we drinking. White top we drinking. White top we drinking. White top we drinking. Tonight I'm not sleeping. White top I drinking. No, we not sleeping. Broke back we taking. When you see I come my diva, pop prepare for the cancer. What a hot sun or cold breeze. Pour the white up, please. When it falls, you red. When it falls, you red. When it falls, you red. Pour more white up, please. When it falls, I red. Because I stay woke. My name is straight on the mic and it's that they like. Pass the white up and it's that they like.
Hi children, this one is just for you.
It is the ECCB Children's Connection Program coming your way on this station. Come, listen.
Join me, Auntie Marcia, and my co-host,
Quentin Tong and Ramalia Thomas and other children just like us, ages 5 to 12. Listen and participate in exciting stories, powerful lessons, smart quizzes, wise words, and win prizes. Awesome!
ECCB Children's Connection Program, every second Sunday of the month at 1 p.m. on this station. Don't you miss it.
Sponsored by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
Ooh, oh, oh, KFC. Ooh, oh, KFC. Looking for some place to go. He knows for so. KFC. Grab your family and your friends. Join in the experience. KFC. It's the place to be. Made for you and me. KFC. KFC. It's finger licking good.
Stop it. What? That you. Fresh market. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh your one stop. Fresh market. Auto Trade introduces our newest line of lubricants, Valvoline, America's first branded motor oil. Valvoline has been formulating and improving motor oil longer than any other brand. From the world's first racing oil to the world's first synthetic blend, Valvoline has been trusted in engines around the world for over 150 years. Make the switch today. Choose Valvoline, the original motor oil. At Auto Trade, we only recommend the best in quality because at Auto Trade, it's more than a vehicle. It's a relationship. Valvoline lubricants, now distributed by Auto Trade.
Big news, Dominica! Fluid Center is now even closer to you with the opening of Fluid Center Express, conveniently located on Cork Street, right next to Fresh Market. Get all your home improvement essentials fast with everything from tools and paints to home decor and more. Plus, enjoy the same great service you know and trust. Now, just a quick stop in the city. Visit us today at Do It Center Express, your partner in home improvement, now closer than ever.